Hello everyone and welcome back to JDD TV. I'm your host Josh and today we are back with another player by player comparison video. Now I did my first one on Canada versus Belgium. Now it's time to do Canada versus Croatia. I took some of your guys' feedback and you said you'd rather me compare like a right back to a left mid, but it was just a little awkward putting it together, so I am sticking with the same format. And today when we do the comparison video, we are doing a 4-3-3 system. We will keep track of who's going to get in the best 11 and see which potential squad has the best side. Now, it's obviously up to interpretation. I'm going to potentially give a starting 11 that's different from your guys's, whether it's Canada or Croatia. It's supposed to be a fun video, so if you disagree, of course, go in the comment section and let me know how you would have lined it up or potentially who you think would win. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I hope you guys are excited, and if you are, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into it now. Alright everyone, so we are starting with the keeper position. This one is a close one. For Canada, it's Milan Borjan, and for Croatia, it's Livakovic. Now, I'm going to be a little biased, and like you guys know, if it's going to be a close one, I'm probably going to give it to Canada because, you know, why not? Now, I really do think this is close, but I am going to give it to Milan Borjan. Livakovic is a decent keeper. He plays in the Croatian league. I think it's a fair debate. You could lean either way, but like I said, it's my video. I'm going to pick, and I think Milan Borjan just has a little bit more experience with the national team. He's a true leader, such an important player, and I think that the skill level is relatively close. The leagues they play in is relatively close. So just looking at experience and who you want with that type of leadership qualities, I'm going to lean a little bit more towards Borjan. So right there, Canada picks up an early 1-0 lead before we transition into the right back position, and again, this one could be pretty close. For Canada, I have Alistair Johnston. Now, Alistair Johnston is a fantastic player for Canada. He's really grown into himself. I think there's a huge opportunity he's going to go to Europe, but he's going up against Stanisic. Now, Stanisic is a talented young fullback who's playing with Bayern. Now, any player who's going to be able to play first team minutes for Bayern is obviously a quality right back. I think that Alistair Johnston is probably a more important player to Canada, but you can't really debate a player playing at that type of level, whether he's getting a ton of minutes or not. I'm probably going to have to lean with Stanisic. I think this is a talented young player, and there's no guarantee this is going to be the starting right back. I just playing for a club like Bayern, showing that he can be a very useful player coming in, especially if he's come in for Alphonso Davies a few times, and on top of that, he's starting right now on and off a little bit for Croatia. It's tough, but on quality and just in terms of that, I have to lean towards Stanisic, even though I want to give it to Alistair Johnston, but just like that, it's 1-1. We are now moving along to the right center back position, and this has got a couple experienced players. For Canada, it's Steven Vitória against Dejan Lovren from Croatia. Now, again, just looking at the leagues they play in, Lovren plays at a more competitive level. He's done it on the world's biggest stage with Croatia 4 years ago, and of course playing with Liverpool. It's hard to look past him. Vitória is an important player for Canada, but I just think looking at quality and just what Lovren's basically experienced, it's hard to look past him. There's no guarantee that Lovren is even going to start in this starting 11. I picked him because he's a household name. He's had a few starts every once in a while. Kind of similar to Stanisic, there are other options, but I am going to give this one to Lovren. Now moving on to the left center back position, it's Miller from Canada against Gvardiol from Croatia. This one isn't that close, unfortunately. I mean, Kamal Miller is a very important player to Canada, but Gvardiol plays for RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. Very talented club, very talented player. He's been linked to some massive moves. 60-70 million euros to Chelsea and some other clubs in the Premier League. He's probably going to go there eventually. He's playing at a higher level, very talented player, young player as well, so a lot of illusion is out there that Croatia's got an aging back line, but I mean with Stanisic and Gvardiol coming in there as well, it's just tough to look past him, so that one's going to also have to go to Gvardiol. Moving on now to the left back position. For Canada, I got Atakubi, and for Croatia, I have Sosa. Now, again, Atakubi, very important player for Canada. He's doing it in Turkey right now. Bit of a rocky start to his season, not having the consistency he had last season. But Sosa, again, he's a talented player. He's not having the greatest of luck right now with Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, but he is playing a lot more competitive football, very attack-minded fullback. I really like both of these players, but again, with not trying to be biased, you got to go to the player who's playing at a higher level. Yes, he's struggling, but Hatayspor is also struggling in Turkey. So looking at the two players' forms and just with the level where they're playing at, I have to go with Sosa on this one. Now it's time to move on to the midfielders, and I'm trying to do them in a way where there's kind of like a little bit more of a defensive one, a little more box-to-box, a little more attack-minded one. So for the defense-minded one for Canada, I got Stefan Eustáquio. Now this man's rise has been nothing short of incredible. We've seen him at Passos de Ferreira, moving on up to Porto, playing and scoring in the Champions League. probably besides Davies, in my opinion, the most important player for Canada, but he's going up against a midfield, and when you look at the midfield of Croatia, it's so difficult to try to give any advantage towards Canada in that, but I got him lined up against Brozovic. I think he's going to hang back probably the most out of that midfield three. Brozovic has done it on a very high level as well, playing for a very talented Inter side. This one's very, very close, and I want to be biased. I want to give it to Eustachio, but I just think of, again, doing it on the highest level. Brozovic has a little bit more experience. He's a very important player. He's been linked to numerous big clubs around the world, and I think it'd be a little unfair, despite how much I love Steph and how important I think he is to Canada. I have to unfortunately give this one to Brozovic. Next up is our kind of box-to-box midfielders, and now this one's kind of interesting regardless. I mean, the Croatian player is going to be Kovacic. He's going to win. I mean, Atiba Hutchinson's the one name you could use. 39-year-old, hasn't played a minute yet for Besiktas this season. Love him, just an absolute legend of the game for Canada. If he may not even go to the World Cup, well, I mean, we know he's going to go to the World Cup. I don't know how effective he's going to be there, depending on what form he's going in. So whether that's Hutch or even young Ismail Kone or potentially even Samuel Piet or whoever it may be, Kovacic is going to win. Again, a player who's playing at the highest level, playing in the Premier League with Chelsea. He's won numerous the titles in his career. I mean, he's just a very talented player. Really like everything about Kovacic's game, and he's going to take this one. Next up in the midfield is your more attack-minded, whether it's like an attacking 8 or a 10. It's kind of up to you how you want to view it. It's Jonathan Osorio from Canada and Luka Modric from Croatia. I'm sorry to the Canadian midfield. It's just difficult. When you have Kovacic, Brozovic, and Modric in there, they're going to win. It's very tough to get that. Even at the age of 37, Luka Modric is one of the most important players to Real Madrid. He's going to be so important once again for Croatia. He's done it on the highest level. I mean, you talk about Kovacic winning a lot of silverware. Modric has won a lot more. Sorry, Jonathan Osorio, you got to give this one to Modric. There's just not a lot of explanation needed. Now it's time to get into an interesting section, and it's the front three. Now, the midfield was just absolutely dominated by Croatia, and I think that there could be a little bit of a change here. Now, there's, again, a lot of different players who could play the right wing type role for Croatia. I put Pasalic in there because I really like him. He's played there before, plays for Atalanta in an attack-minded role, and I got him going up against Tajon Buchanan as the right winger for Canada. Now, Pasalic plays at a bit of a higher level, but I mean, Atalanta aren't in the Champions League, so if you want to look at it that way, Club Brugge are going to be going to the round of 16 right now. They're already qualified. Tajon Buchanan is having a pretty important season right now. I mean, he had a bit of a rough start, but he kind of fought his way pretty quickly back in the starting 11. And when it just comes to a winger, I want a player like Tajon Buchanan, someone who can go 1v1, use that speed. He's got the defensive side of the games as well. Pasalic is a very talented player. It could be someone else there, even a more winger type player like Orsic. I'm still going Tajon Buchanan on that one. Over to the left wing, and again, this is where Canada's getting a little bit of steam for Canada. It's Alphonso Davies. I put him in the most attack-minded role. I mean, he's very deadly as the left winger as well. And I got Perisic. Ivan Perisic is a very talented player. He's been in the game for a long time. There's no getting around that. He's kind of shifted into this wing-back role, but if Croatia play this 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, he'll probably feature on the left-hand side. So Davies, Perisic, in my opinion, it's not that close. It's Alphonso Davies. This guy is absolutely everything for Canada. He is playing in a little more conservative left-back or attack-minded left-back role for Bayern, but going head-to-head with Perisic, I want Davies. He's a game changer. The ability to take players on 1v1. He drifts centrally, kind of drifts where he wants, but when that speed gets to put into full effect, any backline would be terrified. So right now, 2 out of 3 so far for Canada, and we're going to move on to the striker position. And the striker position, similar to kind of Modric versus Osorio, isn't going to be very close. It's Jonathan David, who is in excellent form for Lille right now. He's competing with the best in Ligue 1 with Mbappe and Neymar, and it's against Budimir, or even if it's Kramaric. It doesn't really matter which striker is going to come up there for Croatia. I put Budimir just because he's been playing recently, but it's not even close. It's Jonathan David. It's a clean sweep for Canada in the attacking with the left wing, right wing, and of course striker, but it was a clean sweep for Croatia. So again, these players aren't going to be going head-to-head against one another, but it's just kind of taking a look at a starting 11 and kind of comparing and seeing what the players are like, even though, when they're playing each other, they will be flipped. So with that being said, let's count up the results here. The results are in, and man, Croatia was up 7-1, and the back line, I just realized I gave every single one to Croatia. Now, maybe I should have snuck Alistair Johnston in there to make it a little closer, but it just shows how talented this back line still is for Croatia, how talented the midfield is. But I think that there's definitely some question marks about the attack. I mean, not having a proper number 9, whether it's Kramaric, Budimir, whoever it may be, it's not really like near the level, in my opinion, of who we have with Jonathan David. We have some game changers as well with Tajon Buchanan and Alphonso Davies. So when you kind of look at it, it looks like a little more stacked towards the bottom of just how this team's going to line up with their back four and, of course, the midfields. But again, obviously, this is just spectacle. It's just for fun. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, I could say Canada could win and Croatia could obviously go and run them over. It all matters what's going to go on in the day, and there's no guarantee that Canada's going to line up in a 4-3-3. They never really have. Kind of more 4-2-3-1. But regardless, this is just for fun, guys. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you agree with the starting 11-ish I did, or the same starting 11 with Croatia? How would you change it, and what would your score be if you did it down below? Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. We will have another one coming out. It will be a player-by-player comparison with Canada and Morocco. So if you guys do enjoy this type of content, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub as well, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.